Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to wait till a few more people will join me for this live. In the meantime, I'm going to prep some stuff. That I can work on during the live. I'm just going to have a look what I'm going to make. Good morning, everyone. It's 2:20 a.m. Oh, wow, that is early. Please go to sleep and rewatch it later if you're interested. I'm on the big TV. That's what I like to hear. Good thing you don't, just seeing the slab and not my face on a big television. Yeah, I was looking kind of on Facebook. I reinstalled Facebook again to see to get some information from groups. I'm actually in a microscopy group for old Zeiss microscopes, and I was looking into what other groups are there, and then I saw a handmade watercolor or a watercolor group as well. YouTube chat name complete. Oh. As you can see, I'm drinking a coffee in the meantime. Feel free to. I don't think you need my permission for it, but feel free to take a coffee as well. Like I said, I'm going to prep some stuff. I think I'm in a Potter's Pink mood for this live, but I'm just going to check what my stock is for that. Yeah, it could use some refill. Although, wait, let me first have a look. It's also in this slab. Nah, we're going to make Indian red. I'm more in need of Indian red. Yeah, okay. Just looking if I have more pigment. Yeah, I've been quite busy packing orders this morning, although there is some delay, not from my side, but in the depot side, which was unfortunate to find out. And I've been kind of slow with other stuff since, I don't know, last live I was complaining about a muscle ache in my chest, and it actually only got worse. It's a muscle that's between one of my ribs, so there's nothing really a lot I can do about that. Oh, there's some dirt on my muller. Let's clean stuff first. So I've been a little bit more slow than I actually wanted to be last week. Also, I don't want to force anyone, but if you're watching, please give me a thumbs up so this live will spread out and be suggested by more people, so more people can join us. Also, more people will find out about the channel. Well, they said it if it's not like getting less in 2 weeks, I need to call them again, my doctor. So I think I'm just going to wait on that. Well, I am in a little bit of trouble here, looking at pens. Thank you, because as you know, I only make single pigment paints, and the dried flakes like this can be added here. But I know from looks of it, this is Indian red. PR 101, but this is also PR 101, and it looks slightly different in hue when dried. That could be because of, I'm going to keep them separate, because of maybe the humidity. It was a different batch, but I'm going to swatch these first. So I'm quite sure that this one actually needs to be there, but these are oh, this is fun. You see the difference clearly on camera as well. So we're going to swatch them and see if this just looks a little bit different on in the pen than it does on paper, or if it's maybe the same. Hopefully the same. I don't want to top off any paint with the wrong pigment, and you can be witnesses of how easily my paints react as well. That is a lot of pigment and a very clear indication for Indian red to me. This is red ochre. Yeah. So it's the Indian red is more violet in hue, and this is red ochre. Is it red ochre? It's PR 101. No, my red ochre is PR 102. Like I said, it's always good to be sure. These are two completely different colors. Thanks for joining, everyone. If you're joining, please give the live a thumbs up, so more people will be notified, and my live will be suggested on more pages. I'm kind of looking into how YouTube works, how it can work for me. Hi, Sandra. This is a Da Vinci Spin synthetic brush, but spilling the tea here. It's the same brush as the Paulina Bright, I think, which I really like. I like her brand, and I like I like her brushes. I'm going to look for one. If you're patient, I might be able to find one. Oh, I only have a 0 size of that one that I can find this quickly here, because I might have a brush problem. Because there's a lot of them. Well, I'm going to show you this anyway. You see the similarities. So especially if I wet it. This is Paulina Bright, and this is Da Vinci Spin Synthetic. Basically, this is the same series of brushes. Sorry about this, guys. If I'm sounding a little bit out of breath, it's my chest that's hurting me. Actually, just trying to see if I can open. Yeah, I have a oh, this plastic is still on here. This should be the same size-ish. This is a 4, this is a 3, but I think she uses different sizes, size measurements, since she only has a couple of sizes. But even the wood and everything, yeah, that's the same. I was looking into doing that as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great series of brushes, but I actually bought some Da Vinci Casaneo brushes. These, and my name is on there as well, but it's still the Da Vinci brand, but my name is just stamped on there. These were for sale in my shop. I sold out. Actually, this is one spare number 8 brush I have left. But the nice thing about these, and I might have one laying over here. Yeah, that is. What? No, 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 no! Don't do that! Don't do that! Don't you dare, Siri! Seriously, I turned everything off except for that phone. Ugh. Sorry about that. Siri is just really enthusiastic about going live, I think. The nice thing about the Da Vinci Casaneo brushes is that it feels more like, less like a synthetic brush and more like a natural hair brush. I really needed to clean this brush actually before I showed you, because it was still full of paint. But these hold a lot of paint. Obviously, these are two completely different brushes. If you want to load a lot of pigment on your brush, the Spin Synthetic series is nicer, especially the one with filbert. I don't know how it's called in English. With the way this is bound, you have them from the Casaneo brushes as well, with the plastic and the metal rings here. Those are longer brushes as well. These are a bit cheaper. Yeah, Siri really likes to join us. Yeah, the Casaneo does tend to lose its shape more quickly than the Spin Synthetic, especially this one, by the way, because you have metal bound Spin Synthetics as well, which are shorter, but this one is just really springy and really, yeah, really nice. And I'm spilling water all over there. Well, that's okay. So these were red ochres, and I really need to find out why PR101s are not natural red ochre, but still an iron oxide. I'm really need to going to have a look when I made these. These were kind of on the side as well. So I'm going to top off these Indian red. In the meantime, by the way, guys, if I am gone for a minute or two, that's because of the groceries that will be delivered. Oh, sorry about that sound. Oh, sorry again. Oh, that's terrible. Hopefully, it's not as bad. I'm going to do it again, okay? So, No, I'm not going to do a groceries unboxing stream. Sorry about that. Actually, it's quite... The groceries this week are quite boring. Not that I have a lot of exciting groceries. Yeah, sorry again about the sound. So I'm making Indian Red PR101, so this is a synthetic iron oxide. Like I said in a previous stream, if you're not sure if it's a synthetic or natural iron oxide, always look at the lowest number for a synthetic one. So if we're talking PY42 or 43, 42 is always synthetic, 43 is always natural, same as PR101 or 102. 102 is the natural material, PR101 is the synthetic version. Other than that, it really doesn't say that much, since you can have a raw umber that's PBR7 that looks like a PY43 that looks like a PY42, although PY42s sometimes are more opaque than 43s. Sometimes, that's not a rule. There's obviously exceptions. Thanks for that, Sergio. Ultramarine orange. That is actually quite an interesting one. To be honest, it actually reminds me more of the very first Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Willy Wonka movie with Gene Wilder. The chocolate river there, which was just colored water. It looked so fake, but it had a like rusty red color. It reminds me of that. Augustus Gloop water. Medium rare sienna and steamed umber. I like the medium rare one. Half-baked iron oxide. Piro goulash. That is nice. Or the orange that turns violet brown. And with this name, just keep coming up with very creative names for this which you know I love. You know, I'm giving my paints creative names so no one will know the origin of it. Uh, I'm really wondering why it's called Indian red. Um, I've always kind of, you know, I always thought it was based on the Native American um, word for Indian. I know it's you're not supposed to call them that. I think I'm not really familiar with the rules about that, but um, then you have Indian yellow, which obviously refers to India. So is this like Columbus red, or is this like? Thank you very much, Paolo. Because I never think when I'm thinking about India and I'm thinking about the Indian yellow, obviously the most obvious one I think. Um, English colony red. Yeah, we can just do a colony palette. Oh, I really don't care how you got the information, but sharing it in the chat really adds value, so thank you. It would be neat if we can kind of implement some kind of chat GPT inside the chat of YouTube. You know, whenever we're in doubt about a pigment or are in need for very creative or wrong names, we could see what ChatGPT would do. But let me just open it with it and see what ChatGPT is going to give us in terms of other names for this color. In the meantime, I'm keeping an eye on our doorbell for the groceries. Okay, send us a message. Can someone give me a prompt for ChatGPT to help us with identifying the name of this earthy yet synthetic red? I'm really in need for a new palette knife with the same size. Yeah, I recently bought this palette knife, but this, you see the difference. I mean, it's great, and like I said before, it's just one piece of metal. It's not welded here. Those are terrible. But this is an old one. It doesn't have a number on it. This has number 6 on it. I think I need number 7 to be this one. See how much I still get off the plate with that newer palette knife. Just because the edges of my old palette knife are getting too thin. Kaput Mortum and Mummy Brown are two different colors, although they are used interchangeably, kind of. Act as a paints expert. As a paint expert, I can offer advice on a range of topics related to paint, including types of paint, color selection, application techniques, and more. Give me a new creative names for the color and pigment Indian red. Now it's still kind of telling me what he can help me with. Okay, so here are some new and creative names for the color and pigment Indian red. Spice red, terracotta blaze, cinnamon rust, paprika crimson, clay coral, brick mahogany, garnet sienna, guys, sunset maroon, rustic rosewood, or fire brick carmine. This is amazing. Make them even more creative and weird. Sure, here are some more creative and weird names for the color and pigment Indian red. Dragon's blood, well that's not right. Phoenix Ember, Rusty Robot, Martian Soil. Okay, I mean, he's in the right kind of hue. Unicorn Mane, Vampire's Kiss, Lava Lamp, Zombie Flesh, Mermaid Skill, or Goblin Guts. Goblin Guts. They're onto something here. Now, do it for the color and pigment. Okay, give me a new one. We can ruin. So for which color needs to be completely ruined in its name by AI? I think depending on the, you know, how deep you go for the guts. Which guts? Is it like the upper layer or is it just deep down? And now do it for the pigment ultramarine blue. Okay, midnight sapphire, electric indigo, oceanic depths, cosmic cobalt, starry night sky, enhanced twilight, blue moonstone, mystic ocean, galactic navy, dreamy blueberry, and more creative and weird names. Kraken's ink, Smurf's tears, ooh, unicorn horn. There's something with the unicorn. Dragonfly wings, fairy dust, ghostly blue, alien invasion, mermaid lagoon, Loch Ness monster, or blue raspberry slushy. Now for Potter's pink. Desert Rose, Coral Blush, Peach Parfait, Terracotta Sunset, Sunrise Pink, Sandstone Blush, Canyon Clay, Rosewood Dust, Copper Blush, or Adobe Blush, and the weirder ones, Flamingo Feather, Bubblegum Dreams, Unicorn Horn Pink, Cupcake Frosting, Cotton Candy Clouds, Pixie Dust Pink, Cherry Blossom Breeze, Mermaid's Cheeks, Dragon's Tongue, or Fairy Floss. What are we doing to these poor, innocent paint names? I don't think Voldemort blushes. That's just, you know, I just, no, yeah. Maybe that will be an interesting question to it as well. In the meantime, I'm just going to continue topping off my pens, and I noticed that the doorbell sees someone parking in front of our house. That means I'm going to be disturbed while topping off pens. That's just perfect. Yeah, so let's think about which other like perfectly good names we can ruin this way. Because I kind of like this. I will never use any of these names for like single pigment CI number paints, like the Indian Red PR101 that I'm making. That is just going to be Indian Red PR101 in my book. But I do like it. I do like, you know, where things can go. It does make me wonder, would there be any paint makers that use like ChatGPT for, I don't know, their information, maybe the Etsy listings, maybe the name of the paint. It's a family crest. Thanks. I once had a student who was a big fan of Vampire Diaries. I don't know if you know that, but they all have like weird and fancy, unusual rings that make them walk, you know, during sunlight. And so I've had some students who thought that I was actually a vampire because of the ring. One was brave enough to ask me, and I actually answered that I was, and that they couldn't tell my secret. Oh, you only got film. That's disturbing, Sergio. I don't know if we're going to get trouble with YouTube from that. I'm not related or anyone anything else, you know, affiliated with Sergio YouTube. It's just I'm innocent. My doorbell goes. Oh, be back in a minute. So sorry about that. I am back again. Let me see what I missed. Hi Nicole. Indian Red, but I'm not sure if yeah, Sandra helped me with that. And Sergio, I know it's a saying, but I was just teasing. Let me have a look. New pens. I actually have enough for just one pen, I think. Yeah, this is not going to do much for me. So let me have a look now for Taylor Green. Okay, creative names for Taylor Green: Emerald Envy, Jungle Jade, Forest Fern, Enhanced Ivy, Verdant Visions, Ocean Spring, Ocean Green, I'm sorry, Spring Leaf, Mossy Mystique, Shamrock Shade, or Aquamarine Dream. And the weird names that ChatGPT is giving us for Phthalo Blue: Envy of the Hulk, nice. Dragon's Breath, Lizard's Skin, Alien Invasion Green, Wicked Witch's Brew, Goblin's Goo, there you go, there's the green, Mermaid's Tail, Pixie Powder, Monster Mash, or Zombie Slime. So they are creative and weird. I have to give the AI that. Are they usable? Not for me. But for anyone who fancies weird and creative names for their paints, feel free to rename my paints and use any of those. I won't use it for my paints though. So don't expect like a Envy of the Hulk PG-7 anytime soon in my shop. That won't happen. I think, you know, with zombie slime, I think it's the cartoonish zombies, the ones with the green everything hanging around. About pigment production, I actually came across one on TikTok that I think has a YouTube as well. It's more like a chemist that shows how some pigments are made. I need to look that up for you. What kind of pigments are you interested in when we're talking about pigment production? Oh, I'm messing up here. Oh, I'm messing up bad. Luckily, everything is, you know, off camera, but... Yeah, so off camera, I need some cleanup. I need to look up the account, and I need to refill this bottle. Oh, whoa, Flying Muller. Yeah, lake pigment production is everywhere. Yeah, that is absolutely true. Let me have a look if I can find it on my other device here. So I'm looking at the account. Sorry about this, guys. And I'm not sure if he posted. Yeah, here's Cerulean Blue. Okay, I'm going to share it with you, and hopefully in the chat as well. I don't know if you can. You can tag people in the chat, right? Hopefully. Let me just have a look. No, that's not working. No, I need to copy the link, but I'm first going to clean this up in a minute. Or I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm first going to clean this up. So this is, it's a very opaque pigment. It also, like I showed you at the very start of the stream, a little goes a long way when using this pigment for painting. But it's also very visible with cleaning this that I just scraped off most of the paint as well as I could, as I usually do. But when I re-wet everything, when I spray and clean the plate with water, there's so much still that needs to come off. So I don't know if everyone here who's still with us in the chat saw my latest video that I posted yesterday. What did you think of it, if you saw it? So that's better. It's kind of an experiment, but I hope people kind of also get the idea behind the video, especially when you look at the caption down below the video. Let's see, what's the time? I'm kind of looking what we can still make during the live. Actually not quite sure if I can still do a very hydrophobic one. Let me just have a look. Sorry. Those are good. That is good. Let's do something completely different for once. As you might know, I have a small selection of shimmers in my shop. And I really need to be careful with this. This is very light pigment. You see it already rising from the bottle. Thanks, Nicole. Yeah, you know, I am kind of, I have the brand name in the bottom of my pens for my shimmers, and you know, my other pens, my brand name and the pigment, or you know, in this case dirty blue, it's a mix, is on the side. This is aluminum or aluminium for us Europeans, powder. So it's coated aluminum. It's not a mica. I have them as well. But to give me the best, like, mirror-ish finish silver, I really like this. As you might know as well, I'm not using a muller for my shimmers, since I don't want to damage the particle. Yeah, but aqua bronze has its own binder in it, so it doesn't work as well as like a pure aluminum powder like this. When you want to re-wet it, it's possible. The nice thing about metal pigments instead of micas is that you can burnish them. And I don't know if everyone's familiar with burnishing. Those of you who work with color pencils might be. Those of you who work with gold leaf might be as well. Otherwise, burnishing is not a term that's used a lot for your regular watercolor paintings, or paint for that matter. So I just need to mix this. Incorporate the binder and the pigment. It's not difficult to make at all. This is a more expensive pigment though. I will swatch it for you to show you what I mean with burnishing. In that case, I'm in need for a piece of paper. And I don't have any paper left here. Oh, I can imagine that aqua bronze works great for that. For my shimmers, I have transparent dot pens as well. So you know which one is a shimmer and which one isn't when you buy from my shop. I did try one or two of them to see how they looked when mixed with binder, if they got more vibrant. It actually didn't get more vibrant, so but I've been quite busy with a lot of other stuff, so I'm going to dig a little bit deeper in those. You know, since there are quite vibrant glass pigments like smalt, for instance, I was actually very curious about if that would feel similar, but they are really different. Oh, messed that one up, sorry about that. Hi, good morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know what your time is. Welcome. Yeah, like I said, I need to look into it. I have an assortment of glass pigments. And I only tried one, so I can't really tell a lot about them in general. Well, let's just do the swatching now. With the paint that is left on my palette knife. Oh, that's quite a lot of it underneath there. Well, that's not a bad thing, I think. I'm just going to add a bit of water. I'm just going to make 2 swatches. One of them I will burnish when it's dry. The other one I won't. Can I show it to you here? So for a shimmer, this one is quite opaque. I really like that about the aluminium pigments. It lays down like real metal, and kind of need to do this in a weird angle, sorry. Like I said, you can burnish the pigment, and I'm going to just add a little bit more pigment on this one, since with burnishing, as you notice, you press it down quite a lot and you lose some of the shimmer in their overall sheen, but they will gain reflection from certain angles. So we'll just let that dry. To let that dry over there, and I'm going to clean this up. Yeah, if you haven't seen the channel of Paint in Hiding, check that out. Absolutely right, Sandra. That's a great channel. And we've been and can you hear me again? Ah, good. So I'm just going to put the swatches over here and let them dry. So I have it. This is quite a cheap one though, but this is a burnisher. Sorry, Paint in Hiding. Can I ask what quill you're using? I'm a quill lover. Quill. Oh, sorry. This one, I think you meant, right? It's a Da Vinci Spin Synthetic, which I really love. But like I said, I do like the Casaneo versions of it as well. This is not one. This is like a regular metal bound one. I think the Casaneo one can hold just a bit more pigment, and it feels like a more like natural brushes instead of synthetic, where the spin synthetic really feels like a synthetic brush, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really like the springiness of it. So I'm going to wait until that dries. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up the pans, or kind of put them in the dryer. But as I was saying, painting hiding, yeah, you have a great channel, and I really like the information we shared over the last few days, week, about the flocculating paints. Since we noticed that a certain brand used the term flocculating and granulating kind of interchangeably, so it's weird for me to see that, you know, big brands like that aren't sure about the terms, I think. Lawrence, do you have a special place for drying your pens? Well, my pens are always, you know, in my heart, so there's a special place for that. No, I'm sorry. I have a dehydrator. I can show you when I'm going to do the studio tour, but I still need to clean up a lot. Paolo, oh, something I would like to add about that discussion, and I think it's missing. Please do share, Paolo. I actually in need of more coffee, I think. And I'm going to put this next to a ventilator, so it might dry a bit quicker. I know it's not the best way to do things, but I'm not in a hurry, but I don't have all day. Just adding my, yeah, please add your couple of cents. Add anything. People never say that paints are colloids. Is that the right pronunciation? And flocculation is a typical colloid property. I think I get what you mean, but please do enlighten us. I think I get what you're saying, but I'm actually in need for confirmation. Yeah, this is an agate. I think it is called. It's gem-ish stone. Agate burnisher, and it's quite a cheap one from China. So it's like a cheap metal hollow handle, but it does the job quite well. What it does, it can actually kind of polish metals by using it like the same way as you would do with a burnisher of colored pencils. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay. In the meantime, Paolo will help us figuring out what he means with colloids. I can look it up, but I'm going to be too lazy for it, I think. And since Paolo is with us in the chat still, aren't you? Hopefully you are. Colloids have large particles dispersed in another medium. Thank you for that. So it's particles that won't dissolve in a medium, I think. What you say is that because of those larger particles that will be dispersions instead of solutions, they always flocculate. But pigments, would it be possible for pigments to form a solution in like a regular binder, not something chemically that dissolves it? But you know, the flocculation that I was talking about the last time with iron oxide, especially at the sides here, what we call, okay, what we would say in watercolors, the flocculation, that is not something you would see with every paint. And adding salts to your watercolor, yes, absolutely. I know most of us know the effect of that in watercolor paints. Okay, Paolo. So your homework is to make to summarize that for us and just help us with that for the next live. Sorry. Okay. Since I brought this up last time, I wanted to illustrate that we have something that is granulating, that is separating and granulating because of this paint is in there, and this is clearly not the type of granulation that happens here, since this also happened on the slab when the paint was wet and when I was cleaning the plate, right? So, Paolo, do you agree with me on that this would be a clear flocculation happening in paints, visibly without any other process? And this is granulation. I'm just skipping the separation here. Or would you consider these to be the same, but then just different levels of it? I'm quite curious about that. Okay. I'm going to show you what a metallic pigment. This is not a mica. This is a pigment that is of an aluminium source. It's coated aluminium powder. Paolo, not sure, because I know what flocculation is in a colloid. Okay. But what is really granulation? Well, I think granulation has to do with I'm dead serious about this. Please help me with this. Granulation doesn't seem like a physical process, but a description of the final result. Well, yeah, but you can enhance granulation by using a different kind of paper. So I have it's a thin paper, but it's cold press. And the granulation is more clear since we have different particle sizes that sink into the paper, forming a granulating effect. Whereas this doesn't do that on the slab, whereas this forms aggregates on the slab without any need of paper. So yeah, this is like on the spot explaining what granulation is. Obviously, it's a description of the final result. It's something visible. But that's a very good question, Paolo. I cannot mill a ultramarine blue long enough, fine enough, hard enough to make it not granulate. There are ultramarines, which usually are called French ultramarine, that granulate less or almost not because of how fine the pigment actually is. So it has to do with the process of manufacturing the pigment. Yeah, this one does this no matter how long or how fine you mill it. I'm going to read the chat. I always thought granulation has something to do with the weight of the pigment particles. Yeah, so that's basically what I meant with like sinking in. The more rough the paper is, the quicker that is visible, or that it's showing. I'll send you an image to ask about sedimentation later. Okay. Heavier pigment particles settling in the grain of the paper. Yeah, fantastic description of that, I think. But for me, like, this isn't granulation. Or it is maybe a form of granulation that I would call flocculation, but it's not interchangeably. This is not flocculating. Whereas I wouldn't consider this to be the best description of, or the best visible example of granulation. I think that kind of sums it up. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up nicely, Paolo. The effect of granulation is more visible when the paint's drying. So there's a drying shift happening where you see the wash, and where the heavier particles are settled. There's less of a drying shift there since there's more concentrated paint. But because of the drying shift in the wash in paints, the granulation gets more visible. And flocculation ones do change over time. What do you mean with they do change over time? Because this happened as soon as I put my brush down on the paper. Even when I sprayed the slab full with water, the pigment acted like this on the slab. And for me, there's no right or wrong here. I'm really glad that you're joining us and everyone's kind of joining with us. to talk about that and what we think it would be. Because there's some definitions on the internet that I definitely don't agree with. There's some people that are very, I don't know, very. They state things as facts. Let me just say it like that. Like this is this, this is that, and this is the difference, or there is no difference, or. And I'm just interested in what everyone else thinks because I think there's just a couple of flocculating pigments that do show a pattern, forming the aggregates, forming strains of lumping pigments lumping together when they're added to either a medium or water. Yeah, you see it developing. Yes. Yeah, and that's what happens on the slab as well. So you don't need a carrier for that. Okay, I'm just going to show you. These are the dried swatches of the aluminum pigment that I just made. It's very shiny, but it has a very diffuse reflection to it, which is nice. It's really similar to those of very reflecting micas. But as you, and I will burnish this side, I think. Let me just see if it's dry enough. Yeah, it's dry enough. As you burnish it, you will lose the structure of the paper. You will lose the diffused reflection of the paint. And you will get a reflection. I'm just going to burnish a part of it so you can see the difference when I'm tilting it. There's a reflection that happens. It's darker here, it reflects more light here. So you can kind of polish the pigments particles just by kind of pressing them down and making the light reflect only into one side. And I don't know if it's really clear on camera, but you can see the difference there, right? You can see where I burnished it, especially here it's darker. Oh, you can see it here. Here it reflects, just get the right angle, yeah, here it reflects light that is bounced back from me, whereas here it reflects the light from outside, more to one direction than how evenly this is reflected. And now I'm going to join the chat again. Granulation separates more with water. It pushes the pigment density apart. Flocculation sits on top and will always be separate. I still don't think that granulation is a thing. Oh, Paolo, did you just say that? Yeah, this is quite comparable to gold leaf burnishing, which is, you're actually doing that. But I really can't. I think I can show you. There's the structure on the paper here, which you completely lose when burnishing. This is super smooth. Okay, You don't think granulation is a thing. How can we change that? I don't want to try to convince you or anything, but but would you say that those are the same then? Like granulating paints and flocculating would be the same thing, because that's what kind of paints in hiding and I were trying to kind of take apart. That might be it. Yeah, that might be it. Although then I think if that would be the case, and scientifically that would be the same as flocculating, we need to get rid of one or the other, right? Or is it okay like this? I mean, I can live with both, but oh, absolutely. I think when we look things from up close, everything is more complicated than it seems. But I do think that it's good to have different words for a paint that does this or a paint that does this. Right? I don't know if you agree with me on that. No matter if it's scientifically or not, or if it's just artistic terms that we make up. I mean, we can use ChatGPT for it again, and just figure out what. Now for the term granulation. Okay. Oh, I need to refresh it. Let's just ask ChatGPT if they can come up with artistic terms for flocculating paint or granulating paint, and see if we can go from there. Let's just introduce some. Siri is joining us again. No, Siri. Give me new artistic names for the pigment property of granulation, flocculation. Let's just see what. Okay, this is terrible. ChatGPT is not helping us with this. Flocculation is more of a chemical reaction versus granulating physical. Gosh, science is not my thing. No, I don't think that's what he was saying. Granulation is mechanical. The water and paper plays a big part. That is true. Just when painting, that is absolutely true. So Nicole, water and paper plays a big part. Both are physical processes, as not reactions are happening. ChatGPT in the meantime try to help us find artistic ways to new names for granulation. I hate all of them. Misty Maelstrom, Raindrop Rhapsody, Grainy Galaxy, Nebula Nucleus, Granule Garden, Foggy Flourish, Molted Mirage, Dewy Dance, Sandy Symphony, and Smoky Swirl. So ChatGPT came up with different names for granulation. Now for flocculation. Fluffy Fusion, Cloudy Commotion, Feathery Frenzy, Clustered Chaos, Puffy Parade, Bunched Brigade, Arrogated Affair, Cuddled Commune, Congealed Carnival, or Floofy Formation. Just use floofy formation. Okay, this is a floofy formating paint. Whereas this paint really, does Granule Garden a lot. This is not working right. This is not working for us. I'm sorry about this, guys. This is really like a foggy flourish. Yeah, definitely. I actually like floofy formation. Okay, Paolo, but would that happen with all pigments? Okay, so which pigments would that be more useful for, and which won't, show any effect? Is that so? Just the way the salts are charged, or the ions are charged, um, will make different pigments lump together to just kind of use normal words. Okay, but for this to be like introduced in the art world or paint world or anywhere, I think it's still of great importance that we kind of define the difference between flocculating and granulating, whether or not this can be whether or not this can be enhanced by adding stuff to it. Yeah, but flocculation leads to quicker sedimentation. That's kind of, that makes sense, right? For me. Um, I, my kids have a small, like a, I would call it a swimming pool, but it's like a small outside thing that we can set up. Um, but you need to keep the water clean, and for that, you have things like chloride, I think it's called in English. You need to have the right pH level, but also, when the water is dirty, or you need a flocculant for the pool water for things to lump together, to flocculate, and the sedimentation will be easier to clean up with, I don't know, a water vacuum hose or something like that. So a flocculant, or what you just said, flocculation leads to quicker sedimentation. Just makes sense to me. Yeah. So that makes sense. But in paints, like without adding positive or negatively charged ions, but with just a pigment and a binder, there's paints that react differently on their own than other paints, right? So I need someone to look into if granulation is really an artistic term, or that it can be defined as its own property, that actually, is a thing on its own. Because I think most artists would know what we're talking about when we're talking about granulating paint. Same as, if something is staining or easily liftable. But Paolo, just no, I believe that, but it does describe a certain aspect of or property of pigments best in a way that people know what we're talking about. If something is very staining, we know what kind of property we're talking about with the paint. When something lifts easily, we know what we're talking about. We talk about precipitating or sedimentation. But that's maybe just where kind of science and art need to kind of have their own, respect each other in each way and give each other kind of room to exist. No, not at all. I get where you're coming from, and I think it's really interesting, especially now if you. I think that's a good question, Sandra. Flocculation is a scientific term. I think it is, right? Ooh, to Juan, granulation is also used in pharmaceuticals. I would think more of sedimentation. Do non-mineral pigments granulate? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the ultramarines granulate, right? There's a lot of greens that granulate, or a lot of greens. There's greens that granulate. All the cobalts that granulate. Cobalt is a heavy metal. It's not. It's not a mineral. So I think, in that way, there's also a distinction between a granulating paint and a genuine mineral paint, since that does have larger particles, like way larger. When I look at underneath, when I look at them underneath the microscope, there's a clear difference between a very fine, very blue ultramarine from lapis lazuli or the synthetic PB29. Granulation process transforms the fine powder. Okay, guys. This is. I think this is getting quite interesting. Let's just ask ChatGTP, and I'll ignore it if a lot of nonsense comes out. What is? Okay, so I just asked in a new chat from ChatGTP, so without the pigment information, what is the difference between granulating paint and flocculating paint? Here it goes. I'm sorry about this, Paolo. This is what ChatGPT says. Granulating and flocculating are both properties of watercolor paints that describe how the pigments disperse in water and settle on the paper. Granulating paints contain heavier pigments that settle into the recessed areas of the paper, creating a textured and grainy appearance. These pigments tend to separate from the liquid medium and form visible granules or clumps. On the other hand, flocculating paints contain lighter pigments that tend to clump together and form visible aggregates or clusters. This can create a cloudy or milky appearance, with the pigments appearing to be suspended in the liquid medium rather than settling onto the paper. In summary, granulating paints tend to create a textured and grainy look on paper, while flocculating paints tend to create a cloudy or milky appearance with visible aggregates or clusters of pigment. I think ChatGPT actually just summarized it quite clearly what we've been saying, but I think, scientifically, those definitions are not that different. No, just yeah, okay. That's what you said. But I think ChatGPT, they know what we were talking about. Maybe that's just because they were listening with us. I don't know. So yes, just I think that's right. That is right in artistic terms. Let's leave it at that. Artistic, okay? Yeah, I'm skipping that part to Juan, and it's like I'm not. I don't agree with that either. But one falls to the bottom and one is on top. Ooh, that is an oversimplified, nice summary of the summary that it just made. I think. I don't know if it's right, but everyone just try it out. Everyone, please experiment with whatever we just kind of did not make any clearer for us. In the meantime, yeah, that is very true as well. When I'm bringing back the swimming pool example, when I add a flocculant to that, it just falls to the bottom. So, speaking of granulating paint, let's put a few scoops of Potter's Pink on the slab, and this will be the last paint that I will make before I need to pick up my girls. So I made Indian Red before, a little bit of Xenixo White Gold, aluminium pigment, and Potter's Pink, PR233. Is there any way, Paolo, to determine how large the pigment particles need to be, or when we're talking microns, for instance? I've never looked at Potter's Pink under the microscope, but I did look at cobalts and ultramarines. Like I said, ultramarine blue is a very, very, very fine pigment, whereas cobalts are actually almost look like crystals underneath the microscope. So I see a big difference there, but they do granulate both, though the cobalts that I looked at were more heavily granulating than the ultramarines. And we are here on a channel of a paint maker that studied on the Art Academy, so we are using artistic terms like granulating, because everyone knows what I'm talking about. Can you make me a coffee as well, Nicole? That'd be lovely. Oh yeah, the super granulating colors. We talked about that on a live one once before as well. I think. Or maybe that was the one that got deleted, I'm not sure. As you can see, Potter's Pink is a really friendly pigment that is... It makes for an easy mull. Good morning, Kathy. Going to try to put my tablet on a charger without putting it in the paint. Oh, no, that was... Or else I'm kind of losing the chat. Yeah, okay, but that's to measure things. But if I know, for instance, you know, I'm buying my pigments from professional manufacturers, suppliers, and, you know, they give me the forms that just say what the average pigment particle is in the batch of pigment that I get. So, you know, micron wise, I know on paper. It's 4 a.m. Good night. Is my table not level? My entire studio is not level, I think. So my table needs to be adjusted to that. But, you know, it keeps me sharp. I can't wander off for too long, or else my muller will be off my slab. Oh, pour me an extra, will ya? Like I said, it's quite an easy mull, Potter's Pink. So if you bought the pigment, or if you want to work with pigment, it is just lovely to work with. Potter's Pink is just a very lovely muted pink color with great granulation and texture as paint. Oh, making a mess of this pen. Oh, I'm just going to let that dry. I can peel that off later. Let me just have a look. Is Potter's Pink on the color wheel that I have over here? It is not. But also, ultramarine pink isn't on here as well. That is a shame. I was kind of looking if I can find, you know, the chroma and hue angle for those two pigments, but they're both missing on that one. Bye Sandra, thanks for joining us. And this will be the last paint that I make as well, so and then I'm going to get some lunch and I need to pick up the kids. Bye Paolo, thanks for joining and thanks for, you know, sharing your look on things. I think, no, absolutely not. No apologies needed. That's why, you know, I like these chats, since, you know, everyone can share what they think or how they look at things from their own perspective, from their own background, and that's what makes it great, right? So we can share and learn from each other. Or we can agree to disagree. And this one is kind of, this one was too bilgy. Kind of leaking there. Anyway, guys, this was Potter's Pink. Just for the sake of it, let me just... Oh, making a mess already. I'm going to use the paint that has been spilled from these pens to make a swatch. And maybe while I'm kind of cleaning things up here, we can have a look at how things granulate. Yeah, but like I said, you know, it makes for good discussion, absolutely. Was this... I'm in doubt whether this was clean or not. Well, if it's not clean, we'll just have a look what was on there. I don't want to convince anyone from, you know, being right or wrong or anything. But I like the different perspective that everyone has on things. As long as you use, you know, or if you back things up with arguments or facts or whatever is needed to share your point of view. Wish I had a bit more pigment, but I think I can put enough pigment on the paper to show the effects of it. So while this is drying, I'm going to get a cup of coffee as well, and I'll be ending my stream anytime now. So thanks for joining, everyone. If you haven't already, please give it a thumbs up if you like the discussion part or just the paint making part, or just being here. That would mean a lot to me. And see you next time. Like you know, the title said, this was just a spontaneous live, not planned by any means. So I kind of didn't prepare anything as well. I am planning on doing some stuff, but I'm probably going to make a video series about that. I'm still working on the how to make the binder video, but that takes me a little bit longer than I hoped for, so my apologies about that. But I have some interesting series of videos planned that I'm kind of writing down as we speak, and I'm collecting the right pigments for it, just, you know, to be informative about some pigments or hues of colors. I think that would be the right term for it. So I hope everyone's going to like that. See you soon, and you know, as always, have a great day. And I might just plan the next live somewhere this weekend. I'm not quite sure about that, but hopefully see you there. See you next time, or see you anywhere in the comments. Bye, guys.